Ferrero is a nightmare to work for. The worst place I have worked. I started as a machine operator, and the CEO screamed at me my first month on the job when I was searching for bad Tic Tacs, doing my job. You don't scream at people in the workplace today. It's called verbal abuse. One supervisor I had decided to write myself and another female employee up for something we did not do. He chased us around while we were just doing our jobs, supervising us. I felt he was discriminative towards women. Unless you ultimately kissed his ass, you were all right. When I spoke to human resources about the situation, anything I said to this HR lady, she told me I was in the wrong, and that was final. I was asked to sit in a room with the same HR woman and this supervisor, and they told me I was wrong. I was wrong about this supervisor and that he was in the right. Meanwhile, this supervisor became buddy-buddy with all male employees on the shift. And whenever the male employees were with that supervisor, they did not acknowledge me. Many people feel as though they cannot take their breaks because the company pushes you to get your work done, and they are more likely to like you and promote you if you do not take your breaks. They make it as hard as possible for you to take your breaks. I spoke to my supervisor, the same one who is discriminative towards women, and I said it was my legal right to take my breaks. Going forward, I would get some breaks, but I could tell my supervisor didn't like me even more. When I worked on the gum line, the gum was kept in big steel bins that we put on rollers in a freezer. The bins would get stuck, and someone would have to get on the slippery rollers. You could be switched between these bins. It was incredibly dangerous. They didn't fix this for months. Also, we were expected to lift huge, heavy sacks of product up high with a hand walkie. We then had to go underneath the huge, heavy sack, lifted overhead, and untie the bag so the product would run into another bin. Highly dangerous. Nothing was ergonomic. I'm less than 100 pounds, and I worked a job meant for two people, doing heavy lifting all day. When my wrists were ruined, they moved me. I went to the warehouse where I worked as a clerical. I had one good trainer who was horribly overworked. As a clerical, I felt I couldn't take breaks. If I took a break, everyone was screaming at me because they were behind. When I spoke to a manager, a team lead told me breaks were a luxury here. Another person in this department was supposed to train me. Meanwhile, they accused me of doing things wrong. What do you expect when people are trained poorly and not given their breaks? Health risks were common. The gum machinery was found to be full of mold, and they would let that product sell. They don't care. I contracted the worst hive of my life working in the warehouse. When I told my supervisor about my hive, he said he contacted health and safety, but nobody got back to me, and my hive got worse. I went to health and safety and asked for the MSDS sheets for the chemical they were washing the uniforms in, and they said the chemicals caused skin irritations. Ferrero told me the detergent the uniforms were washed in was safe, but the MSDS sheets said otherwise. I stopped wearing my uniforms. I spoke to human resources, and she was very rude and showed no compassion for my situation. I was put on prednisone and wore the smocks that weren't washed, and after 2 months, I was better. Other people complained of the same hive. Another woman was put on medication as well. I tried to file a complaint with the labor board. They said they would do an investigation and that Ferrero would give me $2,000 settlement, but I would have to sign Ferrero's confidentiality agreement. Then I could not tell the public about this place. I did not accept the hush money. Today I am a supervisor. I remember how poorly I was treated as an employee at Ferrero. I treat my employees fairly. I obey the Canadian labor laws. I also advise people not to work for Ferrero.